The nitty gritty. How can I build my product? How can I build my product? It depends on what you want to do. In my years of coaching, I feel like products come down into two basic areas. There's products, and truly in the sense of the word, and there's services. There's products or physical things, again, like my books right here, and then there's services that are like AWS, which would be almost at a domain, Amazon Web Services, or iCloud, which is what Apple uses for the cloud services. Cuddler, which was a platform slash app that me and my two co-founders launched a while ago that connected people for hugs, similar to Tinder or Grinder, but it was platonic. That is a service. A product would be, again, a physical book, something that you have, that you hold. If you're getting a patent on something, then it's probably something that's going to create a product. If you're trademarking something, then often ends up being something that's closer to a service. A lot of stuff that I do, excuse me, a lot of stuff that I do is a service. So it has a different type of element to it. But there's a lot of people that I coach that do products. I've coached folks that create clothes, so they're clothing designers or clothing creators. Folks that have patented like like certain boxes or drones or things like that. That's part of the game too. Depending on the direction that you're going in, whether it's a pure product, we'll call it that, or a service, then you have to find partners that are going to allow that to happen. When it comes to something like a service, then you're probably going to need someone who knows how to program, someone that knows how to market, and someone that knows how to actually implement the thing, where it would go, who it would go to. That ties into marketing a little bit, but it's a little bit closer to like the visionary slash entrepreneur. I know some folks that are all three. They're like, I'm going to design it slash program it. I'm going to market the heck out of it. I know exactly who it's supposed to go to. If you're fortunate enough to have that trifecta, great on you. There's certain things I've launched where I've been able to be that trifecta, but it doesn't always happen because often we have a weak spot in that. We don't know how to market it, or we're not exactly sure who the audience is for it, or we're not sure how to program or create the thing. When it comes to a product, we have very, very similar dynamics. How are you going to design a physical product? Like the engineer and so forth, like the person who's actually going to design it, like design it on paper. Then how are you going to execute it? Where's it going to be um, made, and the pieces of it, and what's it gonna is it gonna be made out of plastic, or is it gonna be made out of an alloy? It gets really, really detailed. Again, I've worked with a lot of y'all that are doing this. Salute to y'all. It can get very, very complicated. And then the third part of it, of course, is the same as the software one, is how you're going to market it and get it to the right people. So if you come from an engineering background, maybe you can engineer the heck out of it, but you might not know the physical parts of it as far as how to make it physically real. And you might know how to make it physically real, but you might not know how to get it to the appropriate people. As you work through these pieces, then partnerships, as I talked about in the previous segment, become priceless. It can save you tons and tons of money. It can save you some heartache. And so connecting with organizations is a good first step if you feel as though you have some support you need to get. So the first thing, as we talked about in the first segment, is to find out where your weak spots are. Again, I'm not a great physical designer as far as drawing. That's not my strength. I have a lot of other strengths, but that's not my strength. So if I were to launch my next product, or more than likely I'm more of a service guy, my next service, then I would make sure I partner with someone who can draw really well or who can design on paper really, really well. Because that's not a strength of mine. That's not the way that I operate. So that's one, is to find out where you need the support. Number two, I would recommend connecting with organizations that actually represent those people. I've been a longtime member and used to be a board member of the American Society of Journalists and Authors, ASJ. They're at asja.org. So if someone was not strong in the writing department, or they wanted to connect with journalists or with authors, or I do ghostwriting, so if they wanted to find a ghostwriter and stuff like that, then connecting with an organization or even going to places or functions with ASJ would make sense. because it's they're surrounded by people who are strong with the written and spoken word, mostly written word. That's where you go. Just like because I'm not strong artist, then I would go to the art networks, whether it's online, virtual, or go to the networking events. And it's like, hey, I'm looking for artists, and I could probably throw a dime and hit five of them, you know. And so finding out where they hang out and finding ways again to partner with them. The third part about it is to actually find a way to get them what they need, get you what you need, make sure the contracts are good, and then you'll be able to move forward with it. Again, as I talked about in the previous segment, we sometimes get caught up because we're trying to figure out everything on our own, particularly us as solopreneurs. I get it. You got my sympathy. But we're not supposed to figure out everything on our own. That's literally what the internet is for, at least how we're going to use it today. That's what networks are for. That's what organizations are for. Even for some of these organizations, I bet you can reach out to them, and then they probably have a job board, or even if it's a casual thing on if they have a page on one of the social media platforms, find their pages and then build from there. I think that's a great way to fill in those missing pieces for our product, because usually with the coaching that I do, there can be complex issues, and a lot of the stuff that I do is psychological. So it could be complex issues where sometimes we're afraid of success or afraid of failure. Sometimes we got burnt because we tried to launch something in the past and we don't want to go through that again. Excuse me. Sometimes there's the emotional baggage with that, which I'm happy to get deep into. If you've coached with me, we've had some of those conversations. But sometimes it's just because we're trying to do everything on our own. And so because we feel like we have to do everything on our own, then we're waiting for things to click, but then we don't have all the strengths, and so nothing ends up happening. And then we end up in the same place. I don't want you to be in the same place, as I mentioned several times in this episode. And so this is a way for us to move forward. Now, if there's specific things that you want to go ahead and get off the ground, then I have some platforms that can totally help you with that. And so let's talk about the first one. It's called Selfie. We talked about it briefly in the previous episode. Selfie is cool because it allows you to have a storefront, which again, we talked about in the previous episode. Rewind if you missed that one. Sell your products, as they say, hassle free, easy setup, it becomes your storefront. But here's where it gets interesting is it actually has most of the different bits and pieces that I would say probably 80% of y'all would actually need. So if you want to sell digital products, shout out to my musicians. I love y'all. You know who you are. Books, I sell books, videos, games, tutorials, cooking lessons, print on demand, subscription services, what? Pretty much everywhere you need to be, as well as some customizable store templates. Again, we got much deeper into the store templates in the previous episode. This allows you to actually partner in a virtual way, in a way that might be a little bit safer or smoother than having to find a partner or someone you're going to work with. When I say partner, I don't mean a 50-50 partner. I mean literally someone who's going to help you achieve what you want to achieve with your product or service. Selfie is a really good place to start. And we actually have a special deal going on with Selfie, specifically for Bring Your Worth audiences, specifically you. If you type in the code special, then you'll get an even bigger discount than a discount that we're currently working with. But be sure and check them out and see what's happening with them. If you're a little bit more focused and you want to get a little bit more granular with it, and you want to do specifically print on demand, specifically for clothing, then let's go. Then let's go ahead. Sorry, these cookies drive me nuts. There we go. Clothing, physical goods, Printify has got you. You see the bags, you see the shirts. Actually, I'm getting some new Bring Your Worth TV shirts on. So I'm actually making them right now, which is why I'm not wearing it. I usually have my shirts my own, but I'm doing a little bit of a reboot. Shout out to beehive.com because they're doing my newsletter. So I got their shirt on today. But got the bags, you see all this. Start with zero investment. You see the vibes. And so then they already have structures that are set for you. So actually, my phone is being used over there. But if you want the phone cases and all that, you can see it right there. You design it. This is a basic enough design where even if design is not your strength, you'll be okay. But heck, Maybe, as I talked about in the previous segment, you want to hire a designer. Maybe the designer can work with you on Printify, and that's the vibes with it. And again, a really good opportunity. And you see what they say, see how much you can make. And so they break down as far as what the costs are. So you have a certain cost, of course, it's called manufacturing costs to creating the thing. When it comes to, remember, there's product, and then there's software. When it comes to software, there's usually a lower overhead because there's so many things that software needs, such as server space, such as app store costs and stuff like that. Back when I did, me and my partners did Cuddler about a decade ago. Then those things were way higher, right? We had to figure out a way to finance those things. And actually, my co-founders are super creative with it. So shout out to them. But I had to find a way to finance that thing. Now they're a lot lower when it comes to software. So if you want to launch an app right now, it'll be relatively cheap, right? Products, though, products are products because it needs to be created, right? You need to have the shipping costs. You need to have the fabric, et cetera, et cetera. This will break it down for you. This is right on the front page. So there's a lot of transparency there. I appreciate them a lot, and thank you for having a special deal as far as with Bring Your Worth folks as well. Got to deal with them. Be sure and check it out, and I'll give you a good discount. If we're going to talk about this, we need to talk about getting ready for your first sale ever. Our next episode is going to be about getting paid. Has to do with, yes, you ship your first product. Yes, stuff starts coming in. You could have the best product in the world, but if you don't have an easy way for people to purchase it, then you're not going to be able to sustain yourself as a business, whether it's a side hustle, solopreneurship, whatever. Because then people won't be able to take care of you. As one mentor said many, many years ago, don't make it hard for people to uh, to buy from you. To Don't make it hard for you to be able to serve them. Don't make it hard for you to be able to serve your customers. Believe it or not, they're paying for your goods. Yes, for sure. But you're providing a service. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying your goods. So why make it harder for them? Very brief clip that from about 3 or 4 months ago, I believe. Be sure and check it out, and it'll get you in the right mindset. Because the episode after this is going to be talking about how to get paid. It's called e-commerce. So a lot of it's e-commerce as far as how to get paid online and make sure that it's smooth, as well as in person called POS, point of sale, POS. If you're a POS, it's not someone cursing you out. It's actually point of sale. That means that if you see me doing a keynote and you want to buy one of my books after the keynote, then I'm able to make that purchase without telling you to go to a website. That's POS. Still important. I don't care what virtual age we're in, Zoomers and all that. Still need the POS. We're going to talk all about it in the next episode. And why don't you go and hop in the comments and let us know, is there a particular block or particular challenge you're having to getting your product out the door? As Steve Jobs said, and other folks have said, without shipping it, it's not it's not going to get to your customer, and you're missing a piece of showing up. And it's such an important thing. Saw the t-shirts a minute ago and thought, so I need to make some t-shirts. You sure do. Yeah, like I said, yeah, I'm wearing the Beehive t-shirt. Shout out to Beehive, Beehive. Shout out to them. They handle my newsletter. My shirts are getting remade and redesigned as we speak. So that's real talk. And so, what are the things that are actually blocking y'all from shipping your product, from getting your product together? Because without getting your product together, it's really tough to actually build a business. And we're going to be talking about that in the next episode. Ah, GTTG shirts coming soon. Okay, you heard it here first. Exclusive. I would start doing the mixtape voice, but I don't want to lose my voice. Thank you, Carlos, for the exclusive. Speaking of, get ready for your first sale ever. If you're watching this on the rerun or in the clip, then it'll automatically take you over to that one. Or if the next episode is available, then it'll go ahead and drift you over there. For right now, you can check out the whole series. Start your business right now. This is episode 2. Until next time, remember you can always bring your worth. he can always build from there. Take care of yourselves and others.